Merry Tuba Christmas, everyone. Welcome to our indoors and warm again. Welcome to our 39th version of Merry Tuba Christmas Columbus. We're so happy that you are here today. I want to throw out some thank yous real quick. I want to thank you to Capital University for sponsoring this event and allowing us to play in this beautiful hall. I want to thank all of the volunteers that helped out, especially my studio. Those of you that have been here before know that I have the best euphonium studio on the planet, and that they came out in force today to help set up and put all this together. These things don't take care of themselves, and it's great to have some help. Would you guys stand up real quick? Those who came out and helped us out. And most of all, I want to thank the people on stage in front of you. This is a great tradition here in Columbus and all around the world. I'll tell you more about it later. But we are ecstatic to be together again and to get to play for you in this beautiful space. For how many of you out here is this your first time at Merry Tuba Christmas? All right. Well, there are only two requirements. One is that you sing really loudly, and the other is that next year you bring 10 friends. The way we do this is, as we just did, typically, and we'll let you know if the format changes, we will play through a song once, and then I will turn around and invite you to sing along with us. So get your good singing voices on. This is total audience participation, and so we are looking forward to hearing you as much as you are looking forward to hearing us. That was the first one you heard. It was number 1. And now we're going to do number 3. Technical. So for those of you that don't know the story, and I like telling stories, Merry Tuba Christmas was started in 1974 by Harvey Phillips. Harvey Phillips was the tuba professor at Indiana University, where he followed his teacher, William Bell, and they together are two of the most important people in the world of our instrument, because they worked tirelessly to bring this instrument out of the idea that it simply is a back row dweller that supports the rest of a band and can be a melodic instrument and an instrument that you could put together a bunch of them and have a concert. And they were really instrumental in this. In 1974, Harvey called Rockefeller Center and he said, I would like to get a band together of a couple hundred tuba and euphonium players and stand on the ice at Rockefeller Center and play Christmas carols. And that's the response that he got on the phone. And so he went and called some of his friends. He talked to Leonard Bernstein, the conductor of the New York Phil at the time. He talked to William Schumann, who was the director of the Juilliard School, and people like that. And he was calling those folks. And so when he called back a couple of weeks later, they said, Mr. Phillips, you can have whatever you want. And so in December of 1974, he put a couple hundred tuba euphonium players on the ice at Rockefeller Center. They were all dressed in Santa outfits, and they had a little green book. Yeah, it's a big green book now. It only had 17 Christmas carols in it at the time, and they were arranged by the famous American composer Alec Wilder. If you don't know him, look up his work. Very important person. And so that's how it all started, and then it started to grow. And different cities picked it up. And not long after, Columbus was 1982, and Akron, I believe, was 1981, or maybe a little earlier. They moved to Ohio, and it's because the tuba community is so small and very close-knit. My teacher, Gary Tyree, who many of you will remember, he was the director of bands at Otterbein College for 38 years, Bexley resident, Capital grad, and when I met him, I got to know Harvey, and he studied with Harvey at Indiana, and so it just was a natural progression to bring Tuba Christmas to Columbus and to Akron, because all the tuba players know each other and they want to promote this great idea. At that time, in the early 1980s, each city, Akron and Columbus, would pull out 700 players. So if you can imagine that, 700 tubas and euphoniums. Here in Columbus, we used to do it on the State House steps when we first started, and which was nice because they faced west, and there's buildings there, so no wind. You know, actually it's really not bad if it's precipitating. You don't get really hit with that. When they remodeled the State House, though, they put the handrails in to make it more compliant with the Americans with Disabilities Act, and they couldn't have Tuba Christmas on the steps, so they moved over to City Hall, which is problematic because City Hall steps face south with the wind blowing straight up Broad Street across the Olentangy River. And so it was about the temperature that it is now, and it was about 5:30 when they did that first show. Well, the problem they had was the wind was howling across the Olentangy, and the instruments with the really short lead pipes, like the euphoniums, had no problem. They could keep the instrument warm because you can blow air through the lead pipe, but the instruments with the really long lead pipes, like the rotary valve tubas, all froze up. And you couldn't, the valves just wouldn't move. And so Gary said that he tried to start a Christmas carol with this wind howling and everybody's faces were frigid and rigid with cold. And he said it sounded like, a half-dying herd of animals. And so he said, I'm never doing this outside again. And then he talked to Elaine Ostrander, who used to own Colonial Music, if you remember Colonial. When Coil Music went out of business, Colonial became one of the biggest music stores in the country. And so Elaine said, well, let me help you out. So for about 8 years, she funded Tuba Christmas to be at the Palace Theater. So we had, and they always had to post one of their workers, the big chandelier when you walk back in, at the back of the hall. When you walk in, there's that beautiful chandelier there, and they always posted one of their workers there to keep the sousaphone players from smashing into this beautiful chandelier. So we always had there was this wave that would go around the chandelier when we were doing it. And we did that for about 7 or 8 years, and then she couldn't do that anymore, so then we moved across the street to City Center Mall. And right before City Center Mall closed, they were whatever you wanted to do there. They were pretty much, yes, I had some people in the mall. And so we did, I think, 2 years there, and then that's right about when Gary retired from teaching, and he said, take over Tuba Christmas. And I said, great. I said, how do you feel about me moving into Capitol? Because we had this beautiful hall. And, kind of a built-in thing, because I'm the tuba euphonium professor here. I didn't introduce myself, sorry. So we've been doing it here, and the first year that we did it here was great. The Dispatch did a story on the sort of the passing the torch from Gary to me, and so we said, well, maybe we'll get a little bit better turnout this year. So we had about, at our first show, I think we had 250 tubas and euphoniums up here for the first show. We had this part of the audience, was all the music stands. They all ran away. They said, I'm done with this, I'm leaving the stand and getting out of here. But we had about 250 players. Mace Hall holds about 985, I think, but 1,400 people came to that show. And so we're sitting here like, hey, it's filling up. Hey, okay, and I did the announcement, okay, everybody squished together, and there were people standing in all of the aisles. And so my students ran out, and we have carts of folding chairs. They opened every folding chair they could find back in the lobby. We opened every door in the building. People were sitting in classrooms. They were sitting in the lobby out front, out back. We got those people all in here for one show, because we only did one show. And after that, we said, that's a good problem to have once, because then the fire marshal shows up and says, no more. So we moved to the two-show format the very next year, and we've been doing that ever since. So it's a long tradition here in Columbus, and I'm really proud to be a part of that, and happy that you're here with us. So as I said, we do this format where we're going to sing, but we also like to do a few things a little bit differently, and I think so, as speaking of audience participation, we are going to play God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen. And what we're going to do the second time, when it's time for you to sing, we would like just the gentlemen in the audience to sing. I saw that look on your face. I see a lot of those looks. That's great. So, if they need a little encouragement, a little nudge, to help them get the mouth moving and the air flowing, but we're going to sing God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen, and we will feature the gentlemen in the audience today. That sounded great up here. Ladies, what do you think? Safe for another year. The next carol we're going to play for you, and hopefully you'll join us, is The First Noel. told the band before we started I always love to show the first timers what a tuba cheer is. They think it's really cool. And it's fantastic. And there are two kinds of tuba cheers. There's the spontaneous tuba cheer, and then there's the gratuitous tuba cheer. So that was moderately spontaneous. This was going to be totally gratuitous. So if you want to get your phone out and get your Christmas card picture for next time, go ahead. Get your phones out. We love pictures. We love royalties too, but don't sweat it. Ready? There you go. Christmas cards for years. Continuing in our vein of audience participation, ladies, it's your turn. Again, there are great traditions with Merry Tuba Christmas that Harvey showed me in the time that I got to know him. And one of the ones that he did when he was here, which I thought was amazing and I just kept it, is we're going to do Angels We Have Heard on High. And for those of you that have done this before, you know what's happening, but there's a lot of new folks in the house. So what we do is we're going to play straight through it, all the way through the song. We're going to go back to the beginning and sing. Everybody sing Angels We Have Heard on High. But then the second time we get to the Glorias, we're going to stop completely. And the women in the audience are going to form the Merry Tuba Christmas Angelic Choir. And you're going to sing the Gloria, and it's going to be absolutely beautiful. And then we'll come in and join you at the end, as we all will. So this is Angels We Have Heard on High with the Merry Tuba Christmas Celestial Choir. Well done, that was fantastic. We're going to conclude our angel set with Hark the Herald Angels Sing. Some of you may not know that there is actually an original Tuba Christmas song. As I told you earlier in the show, the original 17 carols were written by Alec Wilder. The remainder, to bring the book up to 33, were written by my good friend, Dayton resident, Norland Bewley. And Norland, while he was doing these other arrangements, decided he wanted to do an original Christmas song. Now, I think this song is fantastic. It's never hit the top 10 or the top 100 or the top 10,000, but it's really good. And if you really, really like it, maybe you can go, it's out there on Spotify somewhere. Every spin is a millionth of a cent, so the more help we can get, the better. But this is a great tune that Norland wrote for the Merry Tuba Christmas celebrations. This is called Santa Wants a Tuba for Christmas. So I like to, I mean, obviously, Tuba Christmas is like the musical highlight of my career, and I just love it that, you know, I just turned my grades in this morning at the last minute, and everything that happens, and you run over here and you do all this stuff and you make the day crazy, but then you get to hang out with these guys, and this is phenomenal. And this is really a wonderful thing that we get to do, and the energy between you and us, the sharing and singing, it's really wonderful. I always loved this. I missed it 2 years ago when we couldn't, and last year was great being outside, but man, was that cold. But it's just, I love being in this space and getting to do this. And for us to be able to do this, there had to be a band director. There had to be a choir director. There had to be a teacher there, a music teacher that was teaching us. So I want to thank them right now. And everybody in the room is a music teacher. Put that hand up so we can see you. Thank you. I would always like to ask this question at Tuba Christmas. How many of you played an instrument in high school? That's awesome. How many of you still do? That's good. For the rest of you, I always want to ask why not. And we've got lots of reasons, right? And I get it. I totally get it. We're busy. We've got stuff. We've got a family we got to raise. I got to do this. I got 2 jobs. I get it. But just think about for a minute that you can do that for fun. You don't have to walk into a room and play the snazziest solo, or the highest notes, or the loudest notes, or the lowest notes. That's what happens here all the time. You just have fun, right? And then if you really want to push it, you go hang out with a bunch of people who own instruments and play them for fun, and you have big fun, right? Which is what this is. You know, not many of the people on stage here make their living playing these instruments. But we can get together and do this. And if you think about it, you don't need to have a degree. You can do this for fun your whole life. You know, you can't practice medicine for fun. They frown on that. Can't be a lawyer for fun, right, Larry? But you can do this your whole life, right? And it's amazing. So I urge you, if the thing is in the back of your head, talking to you, going, hey, we should go put a clarinet back up, get that thing repadded, I can play in that band. Columbus has no fewer than like 8 community bands. There's a place for you. And if you pick the right instrument, the appropriate instrument, best instrument, you can come up here. So think about it. All right? Think about it. Next up is Carol of the Bells. Another great tradition that we have had in Mary Tuba Christmas Columbus for a very long time has been the inclusion of the very special people that you see right in the core of the band, sort of the heart of the band. And these are the brave men and women from the 122nd Ohio Army National Guard Band. And it is always a real treat to have them join us and really provide a musical center to this band and a sort of a spirit center as well, reminding us about all the wonderful things that we have and why we have them. We have some amazing musicians, and several years ago I said, you know, you guys are great, you're here all the time, you ought to play a song and just let us listen for a while. And so for the last 10, 12 years, probably more, they've been featured doing their own solo numbers. So this year they've chosen to do Dr. Keith Wilkinson's arrangement of Gustav's whole setting of In the Bleak Midwinter, the great English chorale. So here today, and we're featuring our very good friends from the 122nd Ohio Army National Guard Band. This next piece, the Silent Night, which is one of the most beautiful of all the Christmas carols. We typically dedicate this to people that can't be with us this holiday season, stationed overseas, working long hours at the hospital, fire department, police station, doing something to keep us safe, something to protect us, and they can't be home. And we like to use this to remember them by. Before that, many years, Harvey loved the song Come Sweet Death by Bach. And it is a song which some people always ask, why do you play this at Christmas? It's kind of the title is not depressing. It's about releasing from this world and getting on to the next. And it's really a beautiful poem. If you get a chance to read it, it's beautiful. And it's Bach's actual. It's not, he didn't set something else. He actually wrote this song. Originally just written for bass, basso continuo, he would have called it, and bass voice. That's all it was written for. So there have been many arrangements of this done. Leopold Stokowski did one for the Philadelphia Orchestra that became very, very, very popular. And when Harvey Phillips passed in 2010, I wanted to find a way to memorialize him for our Tuba Christmas. And so I did an arrangement of it as well, and I thought, you know, Harvey loved these two tunes, and so we just kind of blend them together. And so you will hear the great Bach song, Come Sweet Death, followed immediately by Silent Night. Please join us on the second verse of Silent Night. All right, we're going to get into the celebratory portion of our program, getting ourselves into the big finish. This is Joy to the World. And we always do Joy to the World 3 times because Harvey said so. So Harvey always wanted to do 3 verses of this because he just absolutely loved this song. So the pressure on you, of course, is to pull out 2 verses. Now, if you're like me, you kind of pick words from each verse and just kind of sing the same thing twice. Just with, you know, Joy to the World, the Savior reigns, let men their hearts, and then you can do things from the first verse again. It doesn't really matter, but it's just a great song, and Harvey always wanted to do it 3 times. Now, I gotta tell you, there was a fellow at the last show who actually commissioned me. I'm a composer, so, you know, getting commissions is cool. He said, I want you to write lyrics so we can sing it. He was very serious, so I think I'm gonna have to do that now. So next year, watch out for your Tuba Christmas songbook. So you'll have those 2 verses and you won't have to make them up like me. So here is Joy to the World. Once again, from all of us here, we're down to our last 2 numbers. But we'll be here next year, same time. And actually, next year is our 40th anniversary here in Columbus. So I'm working on something special. And I will keep your eyes peeled. If you want to follow us, you can follow the regular Tuba Christmas website, tubachristmas.com, where all the dates and the performances are. And we also have a Facebook page where I keep us up to date on all of the things that we're doing. And so we will have some information up there. I'm actually in the discussions with some people about doing something pretty cool next time. So we will hopefully have something a little different. But this is, of course, is one of our favorite things to play. And for you to join along in with us, this is Jingle Bells. say many, many, many years ago, Merry Tuba Christmas and Happy Euphonium New Year.